Hello and welcome to everyone. Today our guest is MMA fighter Jordan Williams. Can you please say a few words about yourself for the introduction so we can continue? Go for it.
Hey man, yeah, I'm happy to be here. I'm Jordan Williams, type 1 diabetic MMA fighter. Currently signed a contract to fight on Dana White's Contender Series this Tuesday coming up. It's a week from tomorrow, so that's a little short little nit about me.
That's great. That's really outstanding. When did you start training MMA?
Well, I started training MMA the the whole base together when I was 19, but I started in wrestling since second grade. That's was my start in the mixed martial arts world was through wrestling.
So you can call wrestling your fundamental martial art, right?
Yes, yes, that's the thing that got everything started, and every that's like my building block, my like how I strike and all my footwork is all based off of where my wrestling came from.
Do you have a nickname?
Yeah, oh yeah, of course. I mean, not all fighters have a nickname, but some of the good ones, or most of them do. So yeah, I'm Bumaye. Bumaye means kill him in Swahili. It was the chant that the community was chanting when Ali faced George Foreman in the Rumble in the Jungle, and I kind of like how he rallied the people behind him. I just love the meaning. I'm there to kill.
Yeah. Does it have something to do your nickname with the tradition or with the fact that you liked the crowd that were yelling the specific name?
Both. More. It's at this point, it's more specific because it's more people have like haven't really noticed it yet. I'm not at that high stage. I'm just now getting to the high stage. There's been a couple announcers. They're like, "Yo, that name is dope," and just because they know the fight world and they recognize that meaning. So for right now, it's more of like it's a more meaning for myself. What I'm there to do.
Can you elaborate the meaning of your tattoos?
Oh, my tattoos. Okay. So my chest one, that is Lady Justice. That's the most recent one that I got done. And she's blindfolded, and that's on my chest right here, and she's holding the scales. And for me, so her representation is that justice is blind and swift. And obviously, that's a fantasy. That's not how the world works, but that's how I want my world to work, and that's what I visualize myself being. I've visualized myself being swift, and every action that I do has justice. I have my gym tattoo. I represent my gym, and then so I have on this side is more cultural. I have the Filipino flag right here, symbol. The German Raleigh. This goes back all the way to Roman times. It's a sign of power. All right, so that's the German eagle Raleigh, and he represents like a sign of power. That was basically back when the Romans were back. They were in Germany, and they had that time. So the I also have a soldier, and like this side of my arm is basically my heritage side. Arm, so I have like I said, the Filipino flag, the German flag, and then I have the animals of the lion over the soldier. It's basically like an ancestor, like a soldier protected by his ancestors. So like that's the kind of like the look I'm going on this arm. So like Nigerian and Senegalese are the other two representations that I have on my arm. And then I have right here, this is mind over diabetes. It's backwards, but it's because I'm a type 1 diabetic, and that's one of the main reasons why I still continue in this sport today is because most doctors and a lot of people, a lot of family tell me I shouldn't be doing it. So I kind of like, it's a reminder to myself to keep my mind above my disease or my autoimmune disease and just keep strength with me. And I also have the Boomier, my fight name,
Yes.
is right there, and then the wolf. So a wolf like with a blood painted hand on the wolf. That's a war sign. So really kind of aggressive kind of tattoos, but not really at the same time.
Who was your toughest amateur opponent?
What's that?
Who was your toughest amateur opponent when you were amateur? Who
My
was the toughest?
okay, my toughest amateur opponent, that was Corey Wyatt, and that was the man. I don't think I lost any fights as amateur. I was 7-1, and that was the one I lost via or actually, um, the the ref stopped the fight. You probably know this. She's known worldwide. Her name is Kim Winslow,
Oh,
and
I do.
yeah,
Early
you know that
stoppage
name.
specialist.
She should not have been hired at all. I mean, I'm not about like sexuality. I'm all for having women refs, and I do see plenty of a lot of good women MMA, like with MMA knowledge and everything. But she stopped the fight with 7 seconds left for a cut below my eye that was less than an inch long. And she told me that I remember this before she's gonna stop the fight. She said, "Advance, keep working." So I shot a takedown, and then in the middle of my takedown, she just stops it with 7 seconds left in the fight. And then I was taking this guy down. I just couldn't. He would get back up, and I would take him down. I just out wrestled him, and I couldn't keep him down. I just didn't know how to do proper like ground and pound or submissions at enough to keep him down. So I still think I won that fight via the damage done and everything, and just the advancement of my positioning. I was young in my career, like I said, it's amateur, or like you said, it's amateur. So I wasn't just that MMA conscious of how to take advantage of my positioning, and because of that was my toughest opponent. And I give him kudos for making me scramble and getting out, because I've never really everyone besides my last fight, Ramazan, in my professional fights, I've been able just to out wrestle him, like almost every one of my opponents.
What can you say about your professional debut?
My professional debut, that I forgot how long. I was like 5 years ago, and 5 or 6. So I won that fight. I TKO'd him in the third round, but I did get dropped the second round, and that was like a very. It was like he was 1-4 or something. He had a great kickboxing record, but when it came to MMA, he wasn't that he wasn't that good with getting the results in his favor. So it was kind of like a setup fight. It was my debut, and I won, but it ended up being a very memorable fight and a very back and forth, and we were dropping each other, and I ended up getting them takedown and finishing it on the ground via ground and pound.
JC Ramos was my guest too, and we discussed about your fight, and got to say he showed a lot of respect for you. So you won via decision, but how was the fight?
Yeah, I mean, I give a lot of respect to him too. He was like, now via wrestling, he was the most like in my professional career, like the most advanced wrestler that I had faced. Coming from Dagestan and all that, their recognition over there. So I came in kind of not worried, but just cautious about his wrestling because where he's from. But he came out and I gave him a lot of respect. He's a striker, at heart, and he put together some really fluid combinations. Called me a couple times. I don't know what he said about if he thought he won the fight. I'm like with Dana. I think I won that fight, and I even called. I give the guy much respect, but I told him, I was like, hey man, we should run it back. I made a comment like, hey Dana, what's up with this? Like, let's run it back. So I kind of tagged him in the post, tagged Dana, and no response, no answer back. So I still respect him as a fighter, and I appreciate you saying that.
How did you choke out Preston Scharf?
That was a rear naked. So that was it's funny, that was a fight that retired him because he was getting up there. He was 13 and 16 when I fought him, and I just That was at Tachi Palace in Lemoore. I was set up with some striking. He couldn't really deal with my distance, and then for some reason I just decided, to take it down. At that point in my game, I took him down and got the choke because even if I was still successful striking, I would go for the takedown. But like now, it's kind of like I stick with standing, and then I'll go for the takedown and the finish and the choke finish or ground and pound if it's there, or if I'm getting beat on my feet. So he was. I think that he was the last opponent to where I would unconsciously wrestle.
Are you pleased with your Bellator debut?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was good. I faced an undefeated fighter. He was 4-0 at the time, Brandon Hester. So I came into his hometown in San Jose, and I took that shit from him. So I got the finish. I got a TKO knockout in the second round. So that was a very tough fight because I had actually broken or dislocated a bone in my foot the very first day of training camp. That fight, I didn't get the run one day of that training camp because I had a dislocated bone in my foot. Or wrestle. We just did nothing but sparring. And so of course, when you don't have fundamentally a spread of all the fundamentals throughout your training camp, you get a little cautious and nervous. But I came out and he tried to wrestle again, push the pace, and I think he just out-tired himself when I was able to block all his takedowns and take him down. So I was very pleased with what I accomplished after going through that training camp.
About Team Karen controversy, I didn't watch the fight, but I read it was very controversial. So what can you say about it? I was trying to find it, but I was unable to. So what can you say about the fight?
Okay, so the Tim Karen fight. I took that fight on a 5-day notice, and it's UFC. You can't say no to UFC. They're like the hot girl in the block. Like you say, you reject her, she's gonna remember and never ask you back out again. So I just had to say yes and accept the fight. And I came in there. It was like I mainly took him down, and I tried to wear him down because my cardio wasn't at the greatest, but I have natural cardio just built in, like how I work and my work ethic. I think I just get the job done, and my endurance through my mental and my will state and how I train gets my endurance up. But that fight, I had 5 days notice to get ready. So I was wrestling him, took him down. I finished the fight in the third round via TKO. But yeah, I tested positive for marijuana, and so we learned a lesson via myself, my management, and my coaches that I need more time than 5 days to get out of my system. And even with the agreements that WADA, or I guess I believe it was USADA that tested, they allow twice as much as USADA of parts per million of the THC molecule in your system, or the cannabinoid. But I just, I learned that, I need more time. So that was a controversy that happened to that. That win was taken away from me and turned to a no contest because I tested positive for marijuana. I was on a 6-month suspension. And then the next fight after that, when I fought Ramazan, they had to drug test me 4 times for that last fight for steroids, alcohol, every drug, everything. They tested me 30 days out, 15 days out, 3 days out, and then the day before the day of the fight. So all that was because of that controversial Tim Karen fight.
About the last Contender Series, alright, you missed the shot. I think Ramazan was... I don't know whether he was stronger or what, but right now I assume now you're more ready, but is there something that didn't go well in the fight against Ramazan?
I just stayed in the... I think we both stayed in the center line, and we both were just willing to tag each other, and it's just more circular movement, keep my back off the cage. I I get comfortable with my back on the cage, even though you shouldn't, because I know I'm not going to get taken down. You know, he was the exception after he threw that. After he got that takedown, after he threw that flying knee, and then he got another. Or he got another one. He got two takedowns. I had two takedowns in the fight, so I don't know, or I had one. Um, yeah, it's just like I think that I gotta give him. I mean, there's not really much that I think I did wrong, but he did those combinations right to get those takedowns, and I feel if I would have been more prepared or more alert to those combinations, I would have been able to stop those takedowns.
Yeah, great. So about your upcoming fight, you said your opponent. I assume you trained very hard, and I assume you're ready. So we're gonna see. Do you have Do you have something you would like to discuss about the upcoming fight? Maybe to announce something or.
Oh yeah, so it's gonna be it's gonna be a lung burner. We were preparing for a flashy striker, and that was supposed to be October 6th, and then the fight got moved up 3 weeks earlier, and now it's September 15th against Gregory Rodriguez, and he's a grappler. So he's a striker, but once he gets tested on his feet, he'll go and do that a heavy forward pressure, and he puts his opponent's back against the cage. Now I'm gonna have to circle out. I'm gonna have to learn from that last fight and not be comfortable there, even though I can dish out damage. So it's a different opponent, different fight. I feel ready, but the training camp did get sped up 3 weeks. I don't think I had the proper or the amount of time that I would have liked to have been grappling for this bout, but I ain't no bitch, man. I'm strong. I got wrestling. I've been wrestling since the beginning, man. And this fool wants to go into my world. I know he's been grappling since the beginning. So if he wants to tangle in our world, let's tangle. But I'm looking to catch this guy in the chin. He's got a hard noggin, so I'm gonna have to put it right on that button on that chin. He's going down, man. He's going down. I mean, that's the only way my mind is gonna let it play out.
Who's coaching you?
Yeah, man. That's it. That's
Who's coaching you at the moment? I forgot to ask you that question.
Okay, yeah. Much love and much respect to my head coach, David Terrell. The Soul Assassin. Yeah, had a good UFC career, fought for the belt against Evan Tanner. And, that's who I take most of my, if not all of my, advice from right before the fight. I'd say obviously I have my other coaches, my boxing coach, Geraldo Herrera. He's a great friend and an awesome boxing coach that's been taking me under his wing, and I appreciate you, coach, for that. And I just get a lot of wisdom and a lot of good advice from those two. But Dave is the man in charge.
Yeah, outstanding. We've been through your career, we've been through your voyage, but would you like to add something? Is there something that we missed, maybe?
I just want to give a big shout out to Precision Farm Services, man. Like, they are my latest sponsor, and they are so thankful. I'm so thankful for them, and they're so thankful of me. And I want to give a big shout out to my friend, man. He's been running this Precision Farms. It's an agricultural harvesting company up in California. If you need it, message me or get a hold of me, and I will set up the link for that. Another one, Julian Solano is another longtime sponsor that's been across the board, just good people with me. I want to give us thanks to all my coaches staying there. Don Waters and Adam Wamsley, thank you so much for being my sparring partners this camp. You guys have been just making it just doable. Without you guys, I would not have had a successful training camp, and I appreciate everyone's presence in my life right now.
Awesome. I will now put the video to creation. I hope in 2-3 hours it will be on.
Hell yeah, thanks, my man.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I will send you the link once it's ready.
All right, Vladimir. Hey, man, thank you for the interview and giving me time on your show today, man. I appreciate it.
No problem. Thank you too. Have a great day.
All right, you too, man.